Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about all of the storminess going on across the United States. We have a major snowstorm, we actually have some severe weather, which is the first time I'm talking about that in today's video. And we're also going to touch on that potential flooding in the east. Now, before we get straight into this video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think we will have a big severe weather event in the central United States? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video. We're going to be using our dynamic tropopause potential temperature here, and we're going to be taking a look at where these storms could be located, what kind of impacts we could be expecting. Here's storm number one, the one in the east. I featured this one on the earliest video. This is the one that will possibly bring some flooding to the southeast especially, but also some widespread rainfall for the eastern half of the country. And this is only by the time we're reaching this afternoon, so this storm is already ongoing. You can see it looks pretty significant here, but it's not as major as the other two. Here is our second one, and this one kind of takes a similar track to how our very major storm is going to take. It dips down into the Four Corner states, and then it rises back up through kind of the Midwest. And you can see all that red out to the east of it, especially those dark red areas. That is kind of where we're watching for some severe weather, possibly with this storm, but not only this storm, but also this storm, the third one, and probably the most major of all three. This is the one that will be a major snowstorm. And by the way, we're going to take a look at the total snowfall later on, but it's looking even more major than it did on previous model runs. So we'll take a look at that in a while. But this is definitely featuring the potential for some severe weather in the central United States, which of course we will feature and cover that as well. But first things first, let's take a look at the east, because this storm is actually happening the soonest here. And this frame is going to be approximately by about 8 p.m. tonight. And as you can see, there's some heavier rainfall going on for Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky. And it actually wraps around the Ohio Valley there and dips down all the way into Missouri there as well. That is where the heaviest of the rainfall will be occurring. But this will basically affect most of the eastern United States in some shape or fashion here. And by the time we're reaching Friday afternoon, it's going to be October 8th. We can see that a lot of that has made its way up into the Great Lakes and up and down the Mid-Atlantic here. Hasn't reached the northern Mid-Atlantic yet, but by the time we reach about 11 a.m. here on Sunday, October 10th, you can see a lot of that heaviest precipitation is down there in Virginia and North Carolina, where a tropical disturbance will kind of combine itself with all of this. No matter what the intensity is of that tropical disturbance, it'll in some shape or fashion kind of include itself in the whole grand scheme of things here. But there is some showers up and down the Mid-Atlantic and even up and through New England and the Northeast as well. Now, what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to move on, take a look at the total rainfall from this first storm, and then we're going to move to a kind of national view, take a look at that middle storm, the one that's a little bit stronger, and then we're finally going to take a look at that most major storm, total rainfall, and then we'll start, and total snowfall, by the way, and then we'll also take a look at some of those severe weather threats as well. All right, now here we are taking a look at that total rainfall here in the eastern United States. And as you can see, we have anywhere from about anything to about an inch in those greens and blues. Now, it's once we move into the yellows, reds, and oranges where we're beginning to get a little bit more concerned. Yellows and oranges is going to be anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. And then your reds is going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 inches of rainfall. So we expect those kinds of amounts there for the Florida Panhandle, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia there. And there's even some grays and browns in there that you can see, and that is where we're expecting the potential for 5 inches plus of rainfall. Certainly enough to cause some flooding, so that is why that is a bit of a concern. Let's move to more of a national view here, and this is an interesting frame because we can see all three storms actually on this frame. We see the one in the east there. You can see it's kind of dissipated. We can see one up there in the northwest that is eventually going to be our third storm, and then we can see a little bit of a low pressure center there, kind of over the Texas panhandle there, kind of south of the Oklahoma panhandle, and that is going to develop into a much more potent storm in just a moment. So let's go ahead and take a look at about Monday afternoon. It's going to be October 11th, and as you can see, that middle storm really intensifies. A 997 millibar low pressure center there for Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, We see Iowa, Minnesota, and South Dakota getting included as well, alongside some snowfall up there for Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and even we see Oregon and Washington as well getting some of that. That is the beginning of our third storm. Now, by the time we reach about 2 a.m. here on Tuesday, and that's going to be October 12th, you can see that middle storm has now moved up into the upper Midwest. It's a little weaker by this point, 1,001 millibars, but we do see that third storm really diving down. We see heavy snowfall now for Utah, Wyoming, and possibly some portions of Colorado, Idaho, and Montana. This is going to get a lot worse, actually, in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. Here we are zooming in. This is the same exact frame, so you can really see that heavy snowfall there for Utah and Wyoming. Colorado is beginning to get included, but they certainly will be getting more involved in just a couple of frames here. So again, stay tuned because this is going to become a widespread major snowstorm on basically the next frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move on to that next frame, which will only be about, I would say, 12 hours after this frame. So this is going to be approximately 2 p.m. here on Tuesday, October 12th, and as you can see, this storm is really just blown up. We see a 996 millibar low pressure center over Colorado. Heavy snowfall all the way from Arizona up through Utah, Colorado there, Wyoming, and Montana, as well as Idaho as well. So we see plenty of that heavy snowfall, but especially there for Wyoming and Montana, where we are seeing consistent heavy snowfall all the way from 2 a.m. on Tuesday, now to 2 p.m. on Tuesday. So 12 hours of heavy snowfall. And even as we head 12 hours later towards 2 a.m. on Wednesday, October 13th, you can see there is still heavy snowfall in that same exact spot. So the problem here is that when this storm horseshoes around the four corner states like it just did, this is when we get our most major snowfall events for these regions because it's prolonging the amount of time where there's heavy snowfall. Now it's been 24 hours for some of these regions, especially there in Wyoming and Montana. So there's basically no choice but for there to just be a ton of accumulation if this type of a scenario does play out. We also see some of that moderate to heavy snowfall still ongoing for Utah and now Colorado, as well as some scattered in areas in Arizona and New Mexico by this point. We have a 998 millibar low pressure center, and it's right over the Oklahoma Panhandle, heading basically directly north by this point. And let's take a look at 24 hours later, 2 a.m. on Thursday, October 14th, and there is still heavy snowfall, if not heavier snowfall, ongoing for eastern Wyoming, as well as now western Nebraska and western South Dakota. So now it's been 48 hours of heavy snowfall for some of these regions. Absolutely insane, and this is why things have trended a lot worse on this model. Let's take a look at that total snowfall, guys, and this is absolute madness. We can see anywhere in the grays to the blues, that's going to be under 6 inches of snowfall. So more of a nuisance snowfall event, or if you like snow, more of like a really cool first snowfall. Nothing major, though. You get to see snow, maybe a bit of accumulation. Pretty cool. But the purple is going to be 6 to 10 inches of snowfall. You can see very thin bands of that because we pretty rapidly move into the very high amounts in most of these areas that see heavy snowfall. Then we see 10 to 20 inches of snowfall there in the pinks, which you can see is not even the maximum here. We see widespread pinks for Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, and southern Montana here. And I saw a lot of people commenting like the local weather people aren't even mentioning a snowstorm. I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, my fashion of doing it is kind of like this. There's going to be a snowstorm of some sort. We don't know if these numbers are for sure, but let's just show you what they're showing. I don't see the problem with, showing people that stuff. I don't know why people try to kind of not reveal that information. It really is, it almost makes people, it makes me feel like people think they can't trust the general public with information, and it's really just a shame. So let's move up into the even higher amounts. And once we get into those pastel blues, pinks, and weird shades, you see a lot of that for eastern Wyoming. That is where we're at the 20 to even 48-inch amounts. And we actually see a little 40 there indicated there in eastern Wyoming. That's saying that 40 inches plus is possible. And with 48 hours of snowfall, I mean, if you're getting a little less than 1 inch per hour rates, you're going to reach those, 30 to 40 inch amounts. So when you get a snowstorm that's that long, there's no choice but to just see, I mean, absolutely ridiculous accumulation. So if you're kind of skeptical of these high amounts, just keep in mind that if we do see a snowstorm track that lasts this long, we will get extreme amounts of snowfall like this. The only way that these amounts really decrease is if the storm track becomes faster, which would take less of a curvature and a little bit of a faster track, which is certainly possible, but that's basically the only way that we see less amounts than this. The storm is going to be a potent storm most likely, and getting under 1 inch per hour rates is not that extreme. If anything, I think it could be heavier than this, which is crazy to think about, but that's where we're at right now. We're still pretty far out from this storm, so we're going to need to really track this one closely. It's been a pleasure tracking this one. I've been enjoying it, so I have no problem uploading daily videos about this storm because it's actually, the first big snowstorm, so I'm excited about it. Anyway, here's the Cape real quick. We're going to talk about some of that severe weather. Up until about the 9th, and even most of the 10th, we see practically no Cape. I usually talk about how you need about 1,000 for severe weather, so we're taking a look at a maximum of like 200 or 300. There might be some thunderstorms somewhere in here, but really it's minimalistic, and that's typical this time of year. But by the time we reach the 11th of October, that's when the second storm system moves through, a very potent storm system. We start to see those 1,000 to 2,000 amounts widespread throughout portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas there. And this is where the severe weather concerns kind of begin. This is our first severe weather threat that we can see on this model run. But we get an even bigger one by the time we're reaching the 13th, just 2 days later. It's going to be the 12th through the 13th. Sorry, it might be an overnight threat here. We see widespread 2,000 to 3,000 amounts now for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and even in through Nebraska, with some 1,000 amounts there for portions of Iowa and even Missouri there as well. So this becomes a even bigger severe weather threat here with this third storm, which is a more potent storm, and it makes more sense. But we have 2 potential severe weather days that we're tracking, so we're also going to be paying attention to that in the near future. Our confidence tab remains at a 4 out of 6 because we've only, we're only 24 hours closer. We still got a long way to go. Like I said, I've been enjoying talking about this one, so I don't mind it, but we have a long way to go until we're about a 5 out of 6 instead of a 4. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys which state you think would see the most snowfall from this snowstorm, and today it obviously looks like Wyoming, and Bonnie Lewis said, my guess is Wyoming, and that was as of yesterday. So very good comment of the day there by Bonnie Lewis. Good guess, because now the models are definitely trending in that direction, but they could just as easily trend towards Colorado seeing the most snowfall, or Montana seeing the most snowfall, or they could trend even east with the colder and take it to Nebraska or the Dakotas. I don't know. That's the thing. That's why our confidence is lower with this type of a range, because things can shift around. Anyway, for today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Platinum patrons. Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovin Nagel, Larry LePan, Mandy Birchfield, and Patrick Strickland as well. I'd also like to thank our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kodalasa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Alan Goodmaben, Bill Dallas, Gary's, John Calisi, Dwight Phelan, Stephen Kernenthal, and Thomas D. Barr as well. If you'd like to be a part of this very exciting Patreon screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very awesome Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. I would also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox as well. If you'd like to be a part of this channel membership, you can do so by clicking that button next to the subscribe button down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I'll see you guys in the next video.